Hello there, welcome to today's session of Every Mark Matters with Mr. MacDonald. Today we are having a look at Edexcel History Paper 2, Anglo-Saxon and Norman England. And our exam question of the day is explain why the rebellion led by Hereward the Wake failed in 1071, 12 marks. Okay, so let's get started annotating this question. So our question of the day, or our key component of this question, is our command phrase. And in this context, that is explain why. What that means is you must present 3 reasons and explain them. Explain them. Okay, right, so our next part is our focus. So I'm just going to write down the word focus. And our focus of the question is absolutely what the failure and the rebellion of Hereward the Wake. So, remember we're going for 3 reasons, so we need to think about 3 things that failed for him. Tell you what, why don't you press pause and give yourself 30 seconds to think about what relevant knowledge you have about the failure of Hereward the Wake and his rebellion in 1071. Press pause, use any resources you want to use, any revision guides you can find. I'll see you shortly. Okay, right, so welcome back. Right, so the first, I suppose, reason why it failed, and what I would say about the fact that, well, remember, William bribed a bishop to get across Ely. Remember, by this point, the Anglo-Saxons are using guerrilla warfare. Alright. Secondly, let's think about a second reason why it failed. Well, I'll tell you what, why don't we just talk about the fact that the Vikings raided Peter Abbey and left. So he lacked support, didn't he? So he would theoretically have maybe an army that would easily defeat the Normans, or certainly would put up a bit more resistance against the Normans than the Anglo-Saxons. But as we know, they stole all the loot and then left. And then finally, do you know what? Let's just not forget, this is only a couple of years after the harrying of the North. By this point, everyone is terrified. Alright? Everyone is terrified of William. And remember, that's because he poured salt into fields. What else did he do? Burnt down villages. Uh, 100,000 people died. Okay, right, so there's our focus. So that's the relevant knowledge that we have. Let's have a quick look at something called our second order concept. And the second order concept of this question is fundamentally really difficult. So let's have a quick look. Now, the second order concept is not necessarily anything you need to know. Oh, I've missed out the word order. Second order concept is not anything you necessarily need to know. It's just something that the exam board uses to create these exam questions. And in this context is we are looking at causation. So why did your reason lead to Hereward the Wake's rebellion failing? So what you might do is you might use phrases like this led to, or this led to, or this meant that. Okay, right, so we've broken up the 3 components of the question. Let's just remind ourselves, this is a 12-mark question. So what that means, what you've got to do, is you have got to do 3 paragraphs you're going to spend 15 minutes. Our success criteria is simple. It's a lovely question to answer because it's so easy to do. So if we focus on success criteria, and again, what we're going for AO1, so that's your knowledge, and AO2, that's your explanation. And then we have level 3 and level 4, and this is so easy to do. Alright, so let's just have a quick look. Let me just adjust my camera down here. Right, so if we want level 3, now again, just to clarify, that is not grade 3, that's the quality of your answer. So level 3 will actually be somewhere between a 6, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7, and a level 4 will be 8, 9, high 7 and an 8, 9. So in which case then, if we're going for AO1, we want 2 facts per paragraph. If we want level 4 for AO1, we want 2 precise facts per para. And then finally, if we're having a look at our AO2, what we want to do for AO2 is we want to have 2 sentences of explanation. That might be how and why, or it might be why and why. And then finally, for level 4, what you want is you want 3 sentences of explanation. The exam board uses the phrase analytical explanation, and that is, to keep it simple, is how, why, so what. And again, I just want to clarify what that means. So how, why, so what. So let's just say we are talking about the harrying of the North. So if we're doing about this one, so we are talking about how did the harrying of the North lead to the rebellion failing? Why did the harrying of the North lead to the rebellion failing? So what? What was the long-term impact, or what was the short or long-term impact of the harrying of the North? Or alternatively, why is the harrying of the North important for the failure of Hereward the Wake's rebellion? Right, ladies and gents, you are going to now put a timer on your phone, put all devices away, put all revision resources away, and spend the next 15 minutes having a go at explaining why the rebellion led by Hereward the Wake failed in 1071. 15 minutes, let's get 12 marks. I'll see you shortly. Thank you. Okay, right, welcome back. Okay, so I'm hoping there that you have spent 15 minutes having a go at explaining why the rebellion led by Hereward the Wake failed in 1071. So, I'm very conscious of my ugly handwriting and possibly the quality of the camera, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to read out my answer, and nice and simple. What we're going to do as we're reading through it, we are going to be looking for AO1 and AO2, and remember AO1 is knowledge and AO2 is explanation. Okay, let's have a quick look then. So one reason why the rebellion at Ely failed, a bit of AO1 there because that's not in the question, failed was because of the betrayal of the Anglo-Saxon monks. Right, okay, so first and foremost, that's AO2 there. So what I've done is I've presented the reason. From my own knowledge, I know that Ely was surrounded by fens and swampy marshlands, making it difficult for the heavily armoured Normans to cross. Right, so there's my AO1. Alright, and again, I've described what it was like, so I'm going to put some AO1 there. And again, I mentioned Ely again, so I'm going to put AO1, swampy marshland, AO1, heavily Norman knights, AO1. Alright, so there's my first fact. Let's see if I do a second fact. I also know that William bribed a local monk to reveal a safe path through the fens, allowing the Normans to reach the island and attack the stronghold directly. Right, there's my second fact. So I'm already, without doing anything else, presuming I've done some explanation, this will be a level 3 answer. Alright, and again, because I mentioned about a bright local monk, there's AO1 there. Reach the island, there's AO1 again. This led to Hereward's rebellion failing because the resistance had lost the natural defensive advantage. Right, so there's AO2, and that is my how. Let's hope I'm about to go on to why. So I quite like a this led to when it becomes to a how. As a result, the Normans who struggled with the Anglo-Saxon guerrilla warfare could play to their advantage and defeat the Anglo-Saxons in open battle. There's my why. This therefore meant that William could easily defeat the Anglo-Saxons, defeat the last of the Anglo-Saxon rebellion. And there's my so what. Alright? Okay, let's carry on. So currently, this whole paragraph is level 4. Alright? Level 4, just there. Right, let's carry on. Another reason why Hereward the Wake's rebellion failed was because of the lack of Viking support. There's my reason. This was when King Sweyn II of Denmark initially supported Hereward and raided Peterborough Abbey, so AO1 for Peterborough Abbey. In fact, maybe AO1 plus. AO1 plus for King Sweyn II, as the Anglo-Saxons did not want the treasure going into Norman hands. Right, so there's my first fact. I also know that the Danes left shortly after looting the abbey to avoid open warfare with the Normans. Right, so there's my second fact there. This led to Hereward's rebellion failing, as he lacked vital resources from Peterborough Abbey and without an army with a distinct fighting style like the Vikings. Right, so there's my how. As a result, the Anglo-Saxons lacked an important ally for the real rebellion against William, and therefore struggled to defeat the Normans once they reached Ely, the stronghold at Ely. There's my why. And it's not a great so what, I'll admit to you, but it's a really brief one, so there's my so what. Alright, and then finally, a final reason why Hereward the Wake's rebellion failed at Ely was because the Anglo-Saxons lacked natural support and were outnumbered. So again, there's my AO2, sorry. I've just read natural, that should say national support. National support and were outnumbered. For example, in 1069, William crushed all resistance in the north through the harrying of the north. There we go. Alright, so there's my first fact of this paragraph. Additionally, William poured salt into the fields, burned down villages and killed all the livestock in the north. There's my second fact. I'm not sure about my use of the word additionally, but I was clearly running out of time. And this meant that Hereward's rebellion would fail, as by 1071 the entire country was scared into submission and would not inspire a national rebellion. There's my how. As a result, Ely would become the last centres of national for resistance, as Hereward's force consisted of local fighters and was smaller than the Norman army. There's my why. Therefore, his rebellion lost as he lacked the national support to fight against the organised Norman army. And there's my so what. So, ladies and gents, if I just go straight back to my success criteria, have I got 2 facts per paragraph? Absolutely. Have I got 2 precise facts per paragraph? I've got a couple, yeah. Maybe not every paragraph. Have I got how and why? Yes, I have. Have I got how, why, so what in every paragraph? Yeah, I absolutely have. So, in which case then, for this question, what I'm going to do is for AO1, I'm going to award myself a level, being super harsh, level 4 minus, maybe it's probably a level 4. And for explanation, I'm going to award myself a level 4. So what that means is, considering this sentence, that this mark scheme here, is that because I am sort of in between here, I'm going to go for 11 out of 12 out of 12. Absolutely fantastic. Maybe I'm missing out some precise facts in here, but still some really strong stuff to what I think a really challenging question. Thank you very much for your time, and I'll see you next time.